Today's topic is reinventing horror, keeping horror relevant in a media-saturated 21st century. Because when we were back in the day, sneaking beers out of our parents' fridge, watching Freddy, we didn't have quite as many options as we do now. And there wasn't quite as much going on that we were aware of in our everyday lives. And now these guys, again, I have a panel of Caucasian males. It's okay though, some of my most favorite people in the world are Caucasian males. I think these guys are pretty cool. I think you'll enjoy them. But now they're competing with all kinds of stuff. And so are you, as the audience, constantly distracted. You're never really away from your family. You're never really away from work. You're never really away from the news. Speaking of a horror show. So let's see how these guys do it and how they can do better for you, and we can make some more horror because we need more filmmakers. I know there's some filmmakers out there that will be up here in a couple of years. So, starting with my dear friend. Make sure you use your mic.
Yep. Hi everybody, my name is Thurman, and my film is Toe. It's a short film. It's based off an old folk tale, and it's about a starving boy who eats a rotting toe that he finds sticking out of the ground. And later that night, something dead comes to his bedroom wanting its toe back. It's screening tonight at 10 o'clock in screening room B at the Westin. Right now, it's not available publicly. It's sort of making its rounds on the festival circuit. But yeah, you can see it tonight at 10 o'clock.
Wonderful, thank you. Still on down the line.
My name is Jason Wilkenson, and I'm the writer-director of Killing Time. It played yesterday, so I'm sorry you guys if you didn't get to see it. It will be online soon, but much like Chad's, mine is still waiting to hear back from some other film festivals, but as soon as that's wrapped up, we'll be blasting it online for you guys. It's Killing Time, I'll be honest, it's presented as a short here, but it is one scene of a feature that we're trying to get up off the ground. The overarching themes in it are what do we, kind of like our topic, what do we choose to do with the time we have? And very Lovecraftian idea or concept, what if we have no control over that really and something else does and messes it up for us? So yeah, that's pretty much what it's about.
My name is Matthew Dunehoo. My film is called Wretch. It played last night at midnight. Thank you for being there. This was the US debut. We're very honored to be at HorrorHound. Indie film making to the max. Shot it in Kansas City, where I'm from, last May, over 3 weeks. So if you're aspiring to make a feature film in Indianapolis, it's entirely possible. It ain't easy, but there's a lot of amazing, rewarding components to it, and I'm happy to talk to anybody who's interested about my experience in filmmaking. The film will be distributed digitally. We have a distributor, so it'll be out in January. Social, psychological horror, dealing with contemporary issues of spiritual, religious bigotry, sexual bigotry, and psychological violence. Predation of youth and corruption of power are very relevant topics to me, and I tried to let some of my angst into the film in a way that other people could pull something from that would be meaningful. At Wretch Film is the Instagram account, and I encourage everybody to follow it and engage in discourse if you feel compelled to do so.
My movie's not that deep. Kevin Lockheart, I'm the writer, producer for High on the Hog. It's showing tonight at the Westin at 8 o'clock. Stars Sid Haig and Ellie Church, who's around in the area as well. The movie itself is about a pig farmer who grows marijuana to save his family farm and gets in trouble with the law. So it's kind of anti-law, pro-weed, Got a little bit of gun action in it too. So it's a fun movie. We're supposed to have fun with it. It's crazy, it's fast moving, and I'd be real interested to talk about the competition and what you have to do to make yourself seen. I do have a booth here. It's at K02, I think it is, and we do have the film on Blu-ray.
Hello everybody, I'm not from these parts. I made a film, a director called Bad Dreams, and it's about the jolly topic of child abuse. And basically the story is if you were abused as a child, and then the abuser was released from prison 30 years later, what would you do? Would you chase him down, or would you leave him alone? And the next question I've got for you is, why are you here? Because it's playing right now over there. And yeah, I've been made very welcome here at HorrorHound on my little tour of the US. This country is amazing, it's incredible. The films I love are nearly all American, a couple of French ones, but no one's perfect. And it's a short film. It was funded mostly by the BFI, which we'll talk about later. So I think that's something that you guys here, for new filmmakers, should think about. Anyway, I'll shut up for now. Pass the mic.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeff Farrell. I'm the writer, producer, director of a movie called Holiday Hell. Played last night, 10 o'clock, so sorry if you missed it. It's a horror anthology film in sort of the style of Creepshow, Tales from the Crypt. It stars Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator. It's my third feature film. My last movie was called Dead West. It was on Netflix. You might have seen it. It was in Walmart. It's a serial killer movie. Holiday Hell is going to be released soon. It'll be having an exclusive premiere on Tubi next month and the 2 weeks before Halloween, so you can actually watch it for free. After that, it'll be coming out on, DVD, VOD, I think Redbox, limited theaters, November 5th. So just in time for the holidays, if you guys want a good, fun holiday horror film, check it out. Thanks.
Hello. Is this on? I think so.
What do you want?
Is it now? Okay, hello. I'm Thomas Hill. I'm the writer, director, producer, editor, some other things, on a feature called In Their Eyes. It's about Betsy and Marissa after they escaped from Isaac and his psycho dad and how they deal with that trauma they've been through. And those three that I just mentioned are sitting right there. And this is our premiere that will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. So hopefully a lot of you will come out and see it with us. It's a lot of fun. And they do a great job. And they also have some swag that you can get after this Q&A is over, so holler out. And we have a Instagram, and it's hashtag In Their Eyes Movie. You can check it out. And we have a trailer on Vimeo. Do you have the link on Instagram there? Okay, she will have that on there someday. So, and we're looking for PR, so I'm not that good at that part of it. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. As the assistant director of the film festival, I watch everything that comes through. These guys all did a wonderful job. Their cast, their crew. We've got more filmmakers here in the audience that have films played. So please go support them. Give them a pat on the back, a cookie, whatever, because they're poor. Because they put everything in their films, and you can tell that they put their everything in their films. So thank you, guys. Reinventing horror. Horror in the 21st century. How do you make sure that we are seeing films that it's not like I've already seen this 12 times this week? What are you pulling from? What are some of your magic secrets that keep you interesting?
For me, a lot of it is sort of the way you tell the story, and the way you shoot the film. Nowadays with a lot of these big, kind of bigger budget horror movies, you're seeing more prevalence of CG, more epic shots, jump scares, things like that. Sorry. And for Toe, what we did was we kind of stripped all of that down. We shot it in stop motion. We shot it in black and white, and it kind of has a little bit more of a Universal Monsters Eraserhead look to it. That was a big aesthetic influence for it. Also, we wanted to make sure that it was a little bit more atmospheric, a little bit more of a slow burn. Nowadays you see a lot of films where it's all jump scares and it's very fast paced, things like that. So I think, in the landscape now, when we're so used to seeing those CG, real fast paced movies, when you go in there and you see something that's stop motion and it's a slow burn, it's just something that you're not used to seeing, so it packs a little bit more of a punch to it.
Wonderful, thank you. Anybody else want to jump in here?
I think everything that you said is exactly right. The other thing I would add would be our perspective, because it's the one original thing you have. It's your individual perspective. So how you present a story, being clear in that story most of the time, I think is really important. And we're all part of the same family, like the doctor said there. We all love a lot of the same stuff. We're horror geeks, and if I like the film that I'm putting out, most of the time you can find an audience that likes it as well.
I was just going to say, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think being topical is a big part right now too. I mean, both gentlemen on each side of me have topics are in the headlines right now. I mean, when I started Hog, legalization of marijuana was a big issue, and it still is, but it's becoming a little more accepted than what it was when I first started. So, I mean, I think being topical is part of it, but I think doing something completely different. Now, we talked about the slow burn. Hog is completely different. I mean, it's more of a grindhouse than a horror movie. It has horror aspects to it. But the grindhouse nature of it, we have somewhere around 4,000 cuts in the movie, compared to most movies that are in that 800 range to 1,000. So it's very fast paced, and you never know what stuff is hidden and inserted in there, which is kind of the way to get some maybe a little different interest. If you stop it and watch it a few times, you'll see something maybe you haven't seen in a movie before.
And at the risk of sounding too dour or Burtish, there are a couple of really well-placed farts in my movie, so it's not entirely serious. But I would say, I've heard that kids today are more empathetic than previous generations, and I think that empathy is the key to humanity's survival, which is interesting to look at it in the horror film context, because most horror films are dealing with characters that possess a sincere lack of empathy to the psychotic end of the spectrum. One of the first horror movies I ever saw that affected me greatly was Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, and that movie shook me up big time as a kid. And I think that it's important, if we're dealing with psychopaths, those are not characters that are unfamiliar monsters. They're very present in today's society, so I'm pro-thought. If you're developing an idea, one of the things I think that maybe we benefited from, I tried to share the story and development with as many people as I could as we went along to get feedback and different perspectives. So I think just maybe starting on the filmmaking side of making it, we're talking about filmmaking, making it contemporary and different, try to be universal in the procedure, go out of your way to incorporate other perspectives and other voices. I think that's just smart, and I think horror films right now have a chance to be the most cutting and powerful films on the cinema landscape, so we should ratchet it up to 11 and invest all the resources possible to make it deep and fun.
Yeah, and with mine in their eyes, I was thinking of it as a spin on the final girl trope, and then she just came and whispered in my ear something about being a spin on the damsel in distress, and I was like, oh yeah. But Mine is one that you can definitely watch on the surface, and just, it's like I said, a lot of fun and killing and laughs. And one of the running jokes we had on the set was that it was the most unscripted F-bombs by a female leading cast. And but that's what I tried to do, is just pretty much any sort of stereotype or cliche that I ran into while I was writing the script. I tried to put a different spin on it so that it's not quite exactly what you've seen before. And I think that's one of the things, especially when we're making these very low budget things, we have to make things that are a bit different and that people haven't seen before. At least not complete, because nothing's 100% original.
Tom, you mentioned something that stood out to me, of putting a spin on the standard stereotypes and so forth. And some of my fellow panel, or some of my fellow selection committee members are out there. Of the 487 films that we've watched for the past 2 HorrorHounds or something like that, one of my favorite things is when I'm sitting there watching it and I'm like, yeah, I've already seen this. I saw 6 of these this week. And then all of a sudden it turns on a dime and goes completely sideways. And it's like, okay, you lured me in. I thought we knew where we were going. We don't. Oh, what are you going to do to me this time? So that's fantastic. And you keep mentioning, I hear here and there about the relevant topics. And I do want to address something I briefly did before, not to pick on you guys because I love you guys and I really appreciate you, but because I know that we'll hear it later, and so we're going to address it. And that's that so much of independent horror is presented as Caucasian males, and then they're picked on for that. And as a not straight, Hispanic, overeducated female, remember that it's some of these guys that help us when we're dealing with toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is not going to listen to those of us in different demographics. Instead, it's going to listen to what looks like it, but thinks differently. So thank you for leading and making sure that we're all included. And having watched all of your films, I've gotten the opportunity to speak with each of you briefly. I know that you're making sure that we're all included. Thank you for that.
Can I just speak real quick about the last movie? Yeah, I feel like just talking about trying to keep things fresh and interesting and relevant for an audience. I mean, we're all horror fans. We've all seen all the classics. You know, we devour all the new stuff, and we're always looking for something that gets us excited. And that's our challenge as filmmakers, is, you know, giving the audience something new that they haven't seen, but also giving them those things that they look for when they go to watch a horror movie. You know, I think of it like a band putting out a new album. You know, like, as a fan of the band, you want it to sound like the band, but you also don't want it to be just like their last album. You want something new out of it. So that's the challenge of us as filmmakers, is to try and deliver on like all those fronts. And so it can be hard. And also, you know, talking about relevant topics, you know, I think every movie serves a different purpose. You know, some movies can be making very important statements, and other movies can just be pure entertainment. And I think there's room for all of that, and you know, both approaches are valid. And my last movie was all about a serial killer who was affected from being abused by a child, and it dealt with that stuff in a non-graphic way, but it was a topic I thought was important and I wanted to talk about. And my latest movie is more just an entertaining throwback horror anthology movie. So, you know, they're both different, but they're hopefully, they dwell in existing subgenres that you've seen before, but hopefully there's a twist and they're different from what you've seen, and they offer you enough new things that it makes you want to pay your money to see the film. So I think, you know, the challenge that I always find that I try to balance is between entertainment and trying to give you something a bit more, you know, beneath the surface maybe. You know, I know in my film, in my new film, Holiday Hell, you know, there's a lot of powerful women that end up winning at the end of the film and sort of triumphing over the men that are trying to do them harm. And I don't know. I didn't really plan it that way, but I really like that it's sort of, you spend a lot of the film thinking, that the men are going to win, or the evil man is going to win, and then he gets his comeuppance, and it's the women that triumph in the end, and things like that weren't even really intentional on my part, but I like that. I like films that take you in new directions and hopefully take you by surprise too by the end of the film, that you don't get exactly what you thought you were going to get when you started the film.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Let me explain a bit of the BFI. BFI is obviously the British Film Institute, and every year they give £5,000 to 10 films, 10 genre films, and the year before last did it, before the new system, every film went to Caucasian white men. And they realised that was a mistake. They realised with the fantastic Me Too movement and the fact that Britain is a multicultural country, that they shouldn't do that. But then they didn't want it to all be female or all black filmmakers. They wanted to just be fair. So they came up with a system that I really think is excellent. Is the writer and the director, when they put the application for funding, they're just a number. They're just a number. So when the BFI read the script, it's by 14654. It's just a number. So the year before last, as I said, every single film that money was given to was a white straight man. And this year, last year, it hasn't happened this year, 7 out of 10 films were given to female filmmakers. And that says something, that it was nothing to do with race, sex, colour, whatever. It was to do with the director's little portfolio, which is a number, and the writer, which is a number. And I think that's a fantastic way of doing things in the future, because it's fair.
Thank you for that. Appreciate you jumping in and explaining how BFI is working on things. Let's go ahead and look at a little bit of funding too. And Matthew, you have a look, but maybe you have something to say. Did I? That's where we were headed. Okay.
The most fun part of filmmaking.
Put the fun back in fun.
Yeah, right.
My film is financed on credit cards. I mean, it's virtual financing. I'm fucked financially forever now. But I mean, I figured there'd be one time to do it, and so I went ahead and went for it. And I tried the traditional routes to try to go to like a credit union or talk to my bank or whatever. And nobody wants to extend credit to somebody that doesn't have a history of income from whatever their business is. So I have an LLC that I set up for my filmmaking, and there was no other way to do it, really. So, and I'm not very popular, so I couldn't run a very intense crowdfunding campaign. Crowdfunding really like flummoxes me because it's really weird. And if you've ever done it before, I mean, I come from mainly a music background. I've always had bands and toured. I've only been making films for about 4.5 years, and my band's never raised anything. No one gives a shit about my band wanting to put out a new record. And that same thing was true trying to make a movie. So I did it on credit cards, and I'm really glad I did it because the way I look at it, and other people can look at it, is like getting my education. I mean, trial by fire. The 3.5 years I spent making the film was basically like going to school. But now the thing is, I just have to make sure that I do the second film so that I don't drop out of the challenge. Right. With reinventing horror, it's not just about what's on the screen. It's how it's being reinvented behind the scenes, and crowdfunding and social media and all of these things. These are stuff that we didn't have just a few years ago. Well, and specifically to that, I'm not comfortable with social media. Like, I'm just not. I don't feel. I love being able to speak like this, but I just have some psychological issues, and I don't feel comfortable with making posts and talking about stuff like that, and selfies and shit like that. So, I don't know. It's a challenge. I guess there's new ways. I mean, I keep hearing there's new ways to share the information, but I just don't feel. I don't really feel super empowered by what's at my disposal with Instagram.
Yeah, you and me both. But mine was made pretty much the same way as yours. I worked a lot of overtime at the day job. And then when I was finished with the equipment, I sold it or returned it or whatever I could do. And it actually, I worked on this one really for a few years and had a few starts and stops. And then I found the great cast that I have with this one, and we actually got it done in a couple of weeks. So it was a couple week production that was a few years in the making. But yeah, lots of overtime, and I'm like you, I am not good at social media. I'm not even that good at asking people to come see the movie like I've been here, so.
Everybody go see his movie, please.
Yeah.
Here's the boring side of my life. My real job is finance, and I've done it for 35 years. So I'm a late in life filmmaker and started writing about 10 plus years ago, and this is what came out of it, plus a few other projects I've been working on as well. The finance side of movie making is not like the real world finance. I mean, you need to find people who will support you. I was fortunate to get my first $75,000 for this film from friends and family and people who were willing to help out. The next $300,000 came out of pocket in my retirement, which is why I'm still working. So I think what you really have to do is get creative. I mean, make friends with your dentist. Become friendly with your optometrist. Make sure that you see them in public, you buy them a beer, and then tell them what you're trying to accomplish. And you'd be surprised at how many people are willing to help out filmmakers, especially folks that are making good money and maybe looking for a tax write-off or something else. So there's a lot of opportunity out there, but you just have to be willing to talk to them. And then on the creative side, one more thing on the filmmaking, when you talk about returning stuff, I mean, we shot a scene that was supposed to be like in a strip club, and we had decorated it with stuff from Hobby Lobby, and we spent $1,500 in stuff at Hobby Lobby. And I'm telling you, we took back $1,200 of stuff that we got done shooting. If there's somebody here that works for Hobby Lobby, thank you. But I'm telling you, it's a great way to kind of guerrilla filmmaking. So.
Yeah, I can talk about that. I've made 3 feature films. Every single one of them, I've gone out and raised the money by myself, pretty much, and found investors to put in money, put in some of my own money every single time. It's hard, you know, my first 2 movies were made for like 50 grand a piece, and you know, in the movie world, $50,000 is like nothing, right? It's like one day of Brad Pitt's trailer. But, you know, it's a shitload of money, right? For all of us, you know, blue-collar stiffs, and it's like, yeah, do you have $50,000? Do you? No. So you then have to go out and find it, and it's not just as easy as, yeah, give me the money. I mean, you actually have to, it's frankly like starting up any other startup business. You have to create a business plan, you have to form a business for your film, you have to get licenses, you have to do accounting, you have to pay people, you have to do tax returns. It's you know, when you're also the producer as well as the director and writer like I am, you have to do all that shit. And it's not very fun, but it's a necessary evil. It facilitates the art, which is the movie making, which is what we all love, and I think what drives us all. So it's really challenging, you know, especially in this day and age. The nice thing is there's a lot of people that have money out there in the world, and people that want to support art. The challenge is getting connected with them and finding them and making them believe enough in you and in your project to hand over their money for your film. And that's what I've learned is people invest in you, in the filmmaker, in the project. You know, they believe in it. They're saying, here, take this money, I trust you to do with it what you say you will, and hopefully make something that will be good and will hopefully make its money back at the minimum. I mean, you know, that's what we all want to do, is at least with a feature. You know, it is unfortunately financially driven because, you know, you can't drop tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars and just say bye-bye and hope to never see it again. So you're always hoping to sell the film, and luckily all my movies have been distributed and they've gotten on platforms like, you know, Netflix and Walmart and stuff. None of them have really been very profitable, but they've gone out there, they've gotten released, and I've been able to make more. And my latest film was, you know, almost 3 times what my first 2 movies cost. But we had, name actors. We had Jeffrey Combs and, some other people, and those guys don't work for $100 a day plus a DVD, so. My goal personally is just to try and keep being successful enough that I can keep making movies, keep making art, because that's really what I care about, and keep telling stories. I love horror, and I want to keep telling different stories in the genre, and hopefully, like any artist, I hope to grow and get better every time with each film, and hopefully make each film a little bit bigger, a little more expensive, a little better, and hopefully never go backwards.
Yeah, for Toe, we did ours on a shoestring budget, and that was a big reason why we decided to make it a stop motion project. So the whole film, fortunately for us, we shot it all on our dining room table. Like I said, about this big. We used a ton of popsicle sticks, thousands of popsicle sticks for the walls. Wallpaper was, we used old shirts that we glued onto the walls. And then we had a very slim crew as well, but fortunately everybody involved was so passionate about just making a project that we all pretty much funded it ourselves. It wasn't much, but it was enough just to get the puppets and the sets all put together. So so we, when we were faced with our sort of our financial limitations, we made it work, and we had to pivot to do sort of like a stop motion set as well, and that really worked out for us. But for us, it was we really emphasized the investment on time over money, and that was like I said, it worked out well. So we were very fortunate in that regard.
Wonderful, thank you. Jason, would you like to jump in there?
Sure. I don't have a whole lot to add to this topic. I feel like everybody's given such awesome answers to it, and much like other folks here, I saved over 2 years. My day job is in the ad agency world, so I was a lot of friends with cast and crew and all that stuff. The guy who plays our monster is now on the new CBS show Evil. He plays the demon on that, and our makeup person did Grimm and the librarians and all that fun stuff. So making friends in the industry as well as friends of people of wealth or who could contribute here, I think is really important too. So not just finding the finance, finding those people who are already kind of established and they want to take you under their wing and really believe in the stories you have to tell. So yeah, basically finance, I saved for 2 years and then just got SAG involved because I started in front of the camera 15 some odd years ago and 70 pounds lighter ago. So that's sort of was my plan, and then built the business model. Like I said, presented a sort of a pitch package to all the interested parties, and they have jumped on board. So and we're really trying to facilitate and get this short in front of the right people to make the feature for it. So yeah.
So networking upon networking upon networking.
Yes.
That's what this industry is. It's all connection driven. I mean, filmmaking is the opposite of painting, where it's just one core writing, where it's just one guy in a room, and it's here's my art, and it doesn't cost any money to do, and you can spend whatever, and it's one person. Film is hundreds, if not thousands of people. It's all connections. It's who you know. It's I first worked on my first feature, which was directed by Matthew Lillard, no less. It was here like 8-9 years ago, and that was the first movie I ever worked on. And that movie, I was a PA, and I met tons of people, and every film job I had after that was directly related from the people I met on that set. And it led to my first feature, and it's just, that's what this industry is. It's connections. You gotta get your hands dirty, you gotta get on set, do whatever you can, get coffee, just get in there. And it's the best way, because when you make your own projects, you have to bring in cast and crew. Film is the most collaborative art form. It really is.
And that's really easy for all those introverts, right? I mean, that's so easy.
Let's hear a beautiful accent for a minute, and then I do want to get some audience questions. Can I get a show of hands real quick to tell me? There's one. Is there another one?
Slow down, guys, seriously.
I know. Okay, go ahead.
I do use social media to get my film out there. But if you just put your poster or clip a backstage photo, people soon lose interest. So I tried to put photos I've taken myself onto my Instagram feed for the film, so it just peppers it with different things, kind of related. And in my travels across this amazing country, what I'm going to say now, I mean with respect, because it is a fascinating country, is I put the new poster on Instagram with a few logos that I've got. And the next one I took, I was walking down Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, which is the most bonkers city. It's just, I don't know if I love it or I hate it, I just don't know. But I came across this billboard poster, and it said, mass shooting insurance. And I took a photograph of it, and the picture that was underneath mass shooting insurance in the website was a school classroom, 20 seats. And I just found it the most amazing and fascinating that this exists. I took a photograph of it, put it on the Instagram feed for my short. My poster, that had 76 likes. This photograph I took has had over 15,000 likes and about 300 comments. Comments from Americans, comments from Europeans, and comments from my friends saying, get out of it. And that's why I think social media is really important. And if you just put your film stuff on there, but pepper it with your imagination, pepper it with what you've got to say about the world. And another one I took on Sunset Boulevard, which I thought was brilliant, was just a huge poster somebody had painted, and it just said, eat gluten. Superb. And then, if you do that, then you gain traction in your Instagram feed, gain more interest, and I'll shut up now.
Well, it's you. It's you as individuals. It's you in the audience. It's the you in the audience that's going to be up here in a couple of years. That's how horror is reinvented. And it is showing who you are and what your idea is. And when you have that idea that your next thought is, oh no, nobody's going to like it, it's stupid, that's the idea you need to run with. And that's the idea that many of these fellows have run with. That which was unique. It's a different spin and it's a different voice. So, speaking of different voices, do we have some questions here?
Yes, as you work on your new ideas to keep independent filmmaking really out there, do you sometimes find that the ideas become something cathartic, something you're working through yourself and it resonates with other people and that small idea becomes the big movie?
Absolutely, absolutely. Speaking, I can only speak specifically to my project, but the Killing Time, that's literally the source of my anxiety. I don't know where to look anymore, what to check on my phone, or what movies to watch, or even this convention. I don't know which thing, it's all planned out on top of each other. Time management is such a stress for me. And that thematically has played immensely in the short. Now I put it in the form of a monster that's all the thing that we love and the really cool graphics and does some neat kills, but that's the big idea behind my project. So finding that thing that I'm currently working through.
I'm not sure that this responds directly to you, but I think that if you're creative at all, the creative process is part of what gets you your freedom or gets you your peace. I write. I mean, my favorite thing that I discovered later in life, especially, is that I love to write. So when I write, it makes me feel better and it clears my head. And not to be a downer here, but when my dad passed away in February, and I spent several nights in the hospital with him overnight, where I would not sleep and I would sit and I would write. I seriously, in 2 nights, wrote an 85-page script for a new project. And it was just because I needed some stress relief and I needed something to help me. And that's what I did. I wrote. So I don't know how everybody else does these things. I'm sorry, I gave myself chills on that one. But yeah, I mean, that's a big deal for me personally.
Yeah, I mean, art saves. I mean, I think we can all agree with that, whether it's music or movies or books. I mean, I think art has helped us all through life in one way or other. And as the writer of my own scripts and stuff, and I call it exercising the demons, you know, like you can get whatever's inside of you that you want to get out in a positive way through art, you know, whether it's writing a screenplay or making a film or writing a song or painting. I consider it to be exercising demons, and you know, with horror is the perfect genre for that, because you can get really extreme with it. You can get extreme emotionally and viscerally, and you can talk about the dark side of life. I think that's what sets horror filmmakers and horror fans apart from most other people, is that we're not afraid to confront the dark side of life. We're not afraid to discuss the dark side of life or confront death, talk about death. What is death, you know? What happens after we die, you know? I mean, most people spend their lives trying to avoid this shit, and as horror fans, we confront it head on, and we talk about it, and we deal with it through our art and through our films, hopefully in a somewhat entertaining fashion, but you know, that's why I love the genre. It allows us to talk about that side of life and those things that most people are afraid of, and that's why I love it. And I think that's one thing that unites all of us as horror fans.
I thought it was a really good question, because for a living, I work for the devil. I've been directing TV commercials for 20 years. TV commercials are big blue skies and big white teeth, which is very difficult to shoot in the UK. So the good part about doing that is you get to go to South Africa, where there's a few streets that we built to look like the UK and the sun shines there. And so after doing that for 20 years, mainly I did comedy as well. I was so down in the dumps with another commercial where a girl goes, "I love this," with a blue sky behind her, and holds up an air freshener. I wanted to do something that made me happy, so I made a very, very gritty film about child abuse, which cheered me up no end. And it was cathartic, because it was something that I actually wanted to do. I'll shut up.
Go ahead, Mark.
Just two layers of nervousness to talk about. I was nervous to come to this festival because I don't necessarily consider myself to be a horror filmmaker or horror person. I love movies, I love stories. I've seen plenty of great films that have affected me over time, and a number of those have been horror films. So I was nervous about making a horror film. I was nervous about coming here where people have probably a much deeper knowledge of the horror canon than myself. And I was nervous about coming to this panel because I knew that the topic was reinventing horror. I'm like, I just made my first horror movie, I don't know how I'm gonna reinvent it. But maybe that's actually part of the process. Like, when I had the initial concept for the idea, I think most films probably start with one core idea, and this goes to the catharsis thing. Like, yeah, my film definitely started with one core idea. It was a cathartic idea, and I thought this could work as a horror film, so I went for it. And, you know, I think a lot of ways, it probably doesn't work for people who are fans of a certain type of horror, but I'd like to think of the horror community as being inclusive, and I came to find, maybe if that rang true, and I feel like it certainly has so far, and I want to keep working in that direction. So, you know, reinventing it, I don't know, I'm just trying to put my voice in, starting from that point of catharsis, and hopefully it can contribute something that can serve as a reinvention, maybe.
I think one of the things that you and I spoke about yesterday was rich character development. So that when there are those slow times in the movie where we're building the story, the audience stays off their phone and stays involved with the film because they care about what's happening to that character. And so that in and of itself is some reinvention, that we don't just have a two-dimensional, that we don't care about. We know that they're slasher fodder, but instead we're interested in what's happening with their lives. I think Tom was going to speak something too. Of course, you had your...
Like 15 seconds. I was nervous about making a character too much because I don't want it to seem like it's just being like elitist or too character heavy. But I mean, I think there's a lot of room to expand on developing characters. I know there's a place for stuff where that's not the main issue. You want an escapist experience from watching the movie, maybe. But that's just not personally what I was trying to create with my film.
Well, it also allows you to relate to the film and buy in, so that the audience themselves can have that cathartic moment as well. Maybe they didn't get to win in real life, but they can win through that film. Do we have any more questions real quick? Okay, I have one here, one there. Was there another? Okay,
We got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, Tom, did you want to jump in real quick and then we'll do these other two questions?
Oh, just to that original question, I was going to say that I could not imagine writing a script or anything that I didn't have a real connection to emotionally, or some idea that I felt really strongly about, because it's a lot of work.
Most certainly.
That's true. If you're going to spend years of your life working on something, make damn sure it's something you really care about. Otherwise, there's no point.
Let's see what the young lady has to say real quick.
Do you have anything to say to like the young filmmaker who's trying to do good things?
Do it, just absolutely do it. If it's on your cell phone or on your anything, just do it, make it, share it with your friends, get input. Actually, don't ever be afraid to get feedback from people. It will only make you stronger. Put the work out. If somebody tells you they hated it, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. You can take any feedback and use it to power yourself.
Sometimes negative feedback is the best feedback because it tells you where you either need to improve, or it teaches you to say, I really don't give a crap what you think. The future is female.
Fuck yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, the thing is don't expect your first short film to be great. Nobody's first short films are great. Most people's first features aren't great. I mean, it takes a lot of time to hone your craft, and don't be afraid, you have to start somewhere. And yeah, like I said, get feedback. The technology is available. You can make a movie for practically nothing now, so I think there's no excuse not to tell your story, so do it and kick some ass.
Yeah, don't wait on permission.
Everybody's first everything is awful. Do it anyway.
So you all talk about like wanting to like reinvent horror. So in the process of like when you're writing it and trying to keep it new and fresh, how do you get past like, because like I know right now I'm in the process of writing something and I've got a little bit of writer's block. And I want to make it new and fresh, even though it is still on a topic that's been out there for years.
Alcohol.
Coffee.
Just keep writing anyway. Like set a timer and don't let your pen leave the paper. And whatever is in your head, just get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out, and then something will trigger. And then go on from there.
Yeah, your first draft will suck. Just know that. Everybody's first draft screenplay sucks. You have to rewrite it. Every movie I've done, I've rewritten the script like 12 to 15 times before we shot it. So writing is rewriting, and each time you'll get better. Just get it out of me first, and then refine it from there.
Do you smoke weed? If you don't, start, Don. Seriously, it does relax your thinking, and especially if you have writer's block. But I do like the idea of continually just write.
I think one technique that I use when I do come across writer's block, I'll go buy a bus ticket and just ride around the city and observe life. Go walk something. Just get out of your own space, out of in front of your computer or a typewriter. If you still do that, that'd be cool.
There's something that it's really neat.
Yeah, I wish. But yeah, just get out of your own head. Go do something that's completely different and be open. Observe.
And one other thing is read, because I wrote turned out to be about a 7-minute monologue that I kind of stole from one sentence in a 600-page book. So.
Grab your phone, take a video of yourself, giving yourself a pep talk and talking out all the stuff in your head that's blocking you right. And again, something will trigger that.
And maybe try drawing. Sometimes I draw, instead of trying to write the words, I just draw pictures of maybe something surrounding the topic.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much. Thank you guys. Thank you.